ranking members here, which I appreciate very much. So I'm going to defer to her for the first round, if that'd be right.
Thank you very much. That's very gracious of you, Senator Hoeven. I'm really pleased to see the leadership of this subcommittee, as I know Senator Murray is, Chair Murray is, because I know that you will work very well together. Mr. Secretary, welcome. I very much appreciated your call earlier this year to discuss with me and to preview USDA's proposed rule that would significantly change the nutritional standards for foods that are served in the school lunch and breakfast programs. I think we can all agree on the need to have healthy, nutritious food served at school lunches and breakfasts. I recently met with the Maine School Nutrition Association, and they expressed some concerns about the proposed rule. I've forwarded their letter to you, but I want to talk about them here today. First, let me point out that these are nutrition professionals. Many of them are registered dietitians. And their concern is that students may simply refuse to eat foods that have been reformulated to meet the standards in the proposed rule. They point out that there are already sodium and sugar requirements, and that they are already serving low sodium and low sugar products. So they say that with these additional requirements to further lower sugar and sodium in these foods, that the food begins to taste less and less like anything the students have ever eaten, and that it will likely end up filling our garbage cans. Erin Dow, the school nutrition director from Freeport, Durham, Maine, summed it up perfectly in our meeting when she said, "An uneaten meal is not nutritious." My questions to you are this. First, has the department consulted with the frontline school nutrition directors about this proposed rule? And second, how will USDA ensure that these additional requirements do not result in fewer students eating school meals?
Those are very good questions, Senator, and I appreciate you asking them. First of all, we absolutely have reached out to those who are the professionals, those who were the heroes during the pandemic, who fed so many children and families during the pandemic, and we're certainly respectful of the role that they have played and understand the importance of the role they play now. For that reason, we have reached out to them and we have received input from them. And one of the things we attempted to do with these rules was to provide a longer transition period. The reality is these requirements don't go into effect immediately. They are spaced in over a period of time, which I think is important to note because it gives people an opportunity to make those adjustments. It gives the food industry an opportunity to make those adjustments. I would also point out that many of the reduced sugar products that we're talking about are already in the marketplace. They're already available, and in fact, they're being used in schools today, especially when the adult and child care program it's embracing and with some degree of success. I would say that we're also providing grants, particularly for rural schools, to make it a little bit easier for them to respond. And we are understanding that there's a great deal of interest in this, and so we're announcing this week a transition or an expansion of, rather, extension of the comment period, so we're going to provide additional time for people to comment. And I would also point out, I'm pretty proud of this, that we actually made a $10 million award to the Full Plates and Full Potential program in Maine, and the purpose,
great program.
The purpose of that is to provide help and assistance. So we're doing a lot in this space, and we understand. At the end of the day, I think we all, as you say, we have the same purpose, which is to make sure our kids are fed well.
Thank you. In my little time remaining, I also want to point out that we've had very good discussions on PFAS. I know this is of great interest to the chairman as well. That class of forever chemicals that are being found in our soil, our water, our animal feed, our crops, and our livestock. In Maine, the presence of PFAS in wastewater sludge spread decades ago as fertilizer is preventing some of our family farmers from being able to sell their products, causing them significant financial harm, as we have discussed. While Maine state agencies, agricultural service providers, and academic researchers are already undertaking research relevant to the presence of PFAS in the agricultural landscape, far more research is needed. I noticed in the budget that this year your department is requesting $20 million for PFAS-related activities. How do you propose to use these funds? And more broadly, what role do you see for the department in supporting research relevant to the PFAS challenge?
We need to have a better understanding, Senator, of the full extent of this challenge that we face, and a better understanding of the impact of PFAS when it is found in soil, when it is found in anything that impacts and affects our food supply. So first and foremost, we need to have better research to know precisely the extent of what the challenge we're faced with. Secondly, we need resources to be able to begin raising awareness on the part of producers. Now, your producers in Maine and those in New Mexico are fully aware of this, but I'm not sure that all of the producers around the country are aware of it. So NRCS, I think, has a responsibility to raise awareness, to fill the knowledge gaps, and to begin figuring out soil health practices that can make a difference potentially in remediation. We also need to take a look creatively at programs like CRP and CREP to determine whether or not they can be a response to whatever we need to do to remediate the soil. We need more research in terms of its impact on animals and crops. And we also need to make sure that our food safety folks are fully embracing and understanding of the need to test to make sure that as we are inspecting meat, poultry, and processed eggs, that we know the impact, if any, of PFAS. So there's a lot of work to do. $20 million is probably not enough, but it is a start, and it's certainly more than the $5 billion we got last year.
Thank you. Thank you very much.